Hey everybody, we're going to review a high silver ranked game on Chalet. This is our second video so far, and I'm ready to jump into it.
Awesome. Let's do it.
This is, yeah.
Yeah, like sometimes I don't know. Like it's a lot. It's like a lot of
So
work
right off the
going into
bat,
it.
I actually
I
like
like
this
this.
composition.
I
You've
hope
got
this
the
does.
Thatcher and the Thermite
I
to
think
kind of
see
play the
my
snowmobile garage wall if they go there, which they did, and Hibana to create some additional pressure from hatches, maybe the closet. We'll get into that a little bit later in the round, but in theory, I think this is a pretty strong team comp for this map. What do you think?
Yeah. And I mean, you're expecting garage or kitchen trophy almost exclusively until you win both, or until they win both, I guess. So yeah, that's a pretty good point. And we see they're not doing like a normal Mira sub, having a setup in the back and the
it still
front.
says
They're
you
having
download
one
300
right on
hours.
garage door,
I got a new
useful.
one. Not the Sensei, not the raw.
Yeah, so let's see. We've got a spawn at campfire, and we're going to be heading over to the car garage for a car garage push. Now, this play, I understand the basic thought behind it, but I think we can explain a slightly better approach to this that gets a little bit less risk.
So let's watch the drone row here, real quick, right here. This is smart. You drone in, you see the cav, you see cav go up, but you follow cav in, and this is the part that I don't like as much. And we can kind of talk about an alternative push instead. So bringing up the map here, I'll let Fender explain it. I'll kind of point it out.
Got it. No worries. Can you tab over to the basement on the top left there?
Yeah. Here you go. Yeah. Perfect.
Awesome. Okay, so what you can see is the snowmobile garage on the south side of the map and its exterior facing wall, and then the wine cellar just north of that. I like the theory here that we're bringing Hibana to go and put some additional pressure on the backside of this wine cellar, because if everyone just stacks up and tries to come in the south side of snowmobile garage, that winds up being a little bit risky just because they can set up a mirror inside wine, they can look at it, and they can deny your plans.
Yeah.
However, because we're going into the main garage here, you've got two overhead hatches that create some additional pressure, and you have a very limited sight line going all the way across wine. Usually, a more efficient push would come through what we call the trench or the backyard stairs in the basement hallway to reach from the east side of Winestock and create a potential plant point there, put some additional pressure on the person trying to play the mirror inside wine, while being much more difficult to flank for the team.
Perfect.
Like that. Awesome.
So back to the gameplay here. So opening up this wall, I can see how you want to do this. So since you have an ACOG, you can kind of take this long haul like we talked about, but you're getting pinched. And Cav could have shot these pellets off if she was still in that area where we saw. Here you are, you realize somebody's probably going to drop in on you now. Don't really know where to stand. Be ready to fight. Really a fight you want.
So here, I think what you need to do is just be decisive and pick a direction to move so that you can get back to Thatcher and, make yourself a little bit safer. Here, Bandit gives you a pretty good opportunity when he drops down to flash him, go and push him at short range with the bearing and kill him. And that probably would have given you the opportunity to get outside, rotate around, go and help with Thatcher.
But you kind of get screwed with that close up ACOG fight, which is the way it goes.
Yeah, and it's definitely a difficult situation. Like we said, I think the macro approach there really put you in a difficult position where you had to win that gunfight. But we also want to make sure we're looking at it at all levels. And from a micro level, I think definitely getting those flashbangs out when you have the opportunity to do so on people who are like that bandit and that end there.
And another point on the macro level is you are Hibana, which while you do have a thermite on your team, you are a very good hard breacher, and you went alone. And that puts you in a position where, let's say there wasn't a thermite and the rest of your team still survived. They're now without a hard breacher and one gun. It's highly unlikely they're still going to be able to win that round. But we're on attack now, or we're on defense now, rather. And again, you're expecting kitchen trophy or wine cellar for your team to pick. they decided to go kitchen trophy.
Yeah, I'm definitely down for the kitchen trophy play. I think it's the better site personally.
So you're picking Capkin, and you see it's a pretty good team comp. You're gonna have a decent amount of information. You got Valkyrie cams. You have your traps. You had a pulse. Now it's not quite as good for mine.
Have 2 or 3 mice.
Yeah, you know, I think it's definitely okay. I do like smoke here, especially for holding off that trophy window.
Yeah.
But so the name of the game for you here is Capcan is preparation and efficiency. So right now what we're going to go in and do immediately is to get the most dangerous trap first. I think that's great. However, what we're going to start to see now is a little duplication of effort with running back and forth across the map, not getting the reinforcements down. And so the thing about Capcan is that he's got 5 traps and he's only a 2-speed, which means you really need to have a planned out route from the beginning that's going to get you as many traps as possible in as little time as possible. So in
And-
my opinion, that means getting 2 or 3 that you really care about and 2 that are just kind of along the way most of the time, because it's very difficult to get 5 all really good ones.
And the 3 that you have down I like them all. I think those are all the best places to put them. They're the 3 most likely entry points for the defense besides upstairs. That trap right there, you probably don't want to put one there because the attackers can't actually come into that window. And I didn't know that until Fender mentioned it. You can't rappel on that side of Chalet. So useful information that I didn't even. Here you're realizing like, oh crap, I'm far into the round without armor, without getting my reinforcements down. Try to peek this window.
I think once we've lost that rook, the play right now is to go over to the dining table and hold the long angle into trophy to help with smoke, and kind of await somebody coming through the lobby.
And then you get rushed by Ash here, which, as we'll see, kind of becomes the name of just about every defense round. And it was just bad positioning, and I don't know. You're kind of unlucky because as Capkin, you are prepared for the rush if you get your traps down, but you didn't get all 5 down. Here they're in. That's really hard for a smoke to fight off.
Yeah, and I mean the Capcan trap works there. It ends up killing somebody. We just didn't quite finish prep phase in prep phase, so you were a little out of position, not really sure where to go, and that's when Ash came in and hit you.
Yeah, that's
I think
one
just
of the
getting
things...
comfortable with knowing where your safe positions are and where you want to play from ahead of time. I think that's where it mostly pays off.
Yeah, and
have that preparation.
If you're gonna play Capkin, hop into a custom match, just run around, and I mean you can put traps down, pick them up, and just kind of getting an idea of how long it's gonna take you for each route, and plan out a couple different plans for how you may want to do it. Because I see you like to play Capkin quite a bit. So wine cellar's locked. They're probably gonna go kitchen. Hibana's a good pick for that, and I do like this round.
Yeah, this round goes extremely well on attack, I think. There are a couple little things that we can nitpick, but overall the team play here is what we really want to emphasize, especially the kind of relative positioning, where you guys are all ready so that if someone dies, someone else can come in and get that refrag efficiently, which is great.
I think the droning goes well. You'll see you all end up spawning in the same location minus 1 person, I believe. And that doesn't happen quite as much as I think it should. I don't think it's an every round kind of deal, but it is useful on this point because you guys clear from west, and it's very good coordination. The communication isn't quite there, but the coordination is definitely there. Drone placement here is a little rough. You probably don't really need a drone on this side if you're spawning on the other side. I mean, it's a useful place, but it's not the...
You work at at Chapel Hill tomorrow? Alright, I'll put it in the car.
Alright, so we've got the spawn coming from helipad here, and what we're going to do is a basically south to north clear. Love it for Chalet. Again, roamers are really strong on this map. Their entry denial is really strong. So right here, you'll see there's a little bit of a risk standing out in the open while throwing this drone, but you react very quickly off of this and shoot Bandit in the face. So it works out extremely well.
And then you hop back on drone, which is really good to see if somebody's coming up to try to trade the pick. You don't see anybody here. Get some information to your team. You see Ash's droning as well. All right, let's set my drone up.
What is it upstairs?
Yeah, so I think the one other thing that we wanted to nitpick was that you saw Valk there but didn't call her out.
Yeah,
And
and you
if
may
guys
not have
had-
even consciously
okay.
saw her, but she was on the screen.
Yeah, so if you guys were really going full tryhard, I'd say coordinate with the Ash here to breach and then push her at the same time.
Mhm.
Flash this Valkyrie, banking it off the wall.
Upstairs?
It might make this a slightly more advantageous fight, but you're still getting some nice tight angles on her and you're getting her.
Yeah, and you could have like the Ash be on drone to give you a call out, or you be on drone to give Ash a call out if you just want to rush in, kind of like how you're doing. Well, the crouch slow peek probably isn't the best play, but you live with 23 health, which is, I mean, it's more than 0.
Yeah.
What is it? The last health point is the only one that actually matters. This right here is really good. I like this long pixel peek. You're probably not going to get a pick off of it, but you got a lot of information to hold for sledge that walks in. Now you can follow your team in. Good positioning too.
Yeah, this is what I really liked is the relative positioning where anybody had gone down in this situation. They didn't, but if anyone had, it would have been in the right position to get that refrag, which would ensure that you trade out and win the round. So that was awesome.
Overall, good round. I mean, everybody had a job and they did it well.
That's like a random number, 2 bits.
So here we are. We're on defense again, and you'll see you pick Capkin.
Can we do another one, or you still want to go? Okay.
And it's kind of the same thing we said before, where you got to have a plan. You got to get your stuff down. So we won't nitpick on you too much about it, because there are a few minor points.
Yeah, so I think we're going to take this opportunity to talk about just a little bit about optimal Capcan trap placement, and again, having that plan to get out and to roam. Because looking at your team comp right now, your Maestro and your Smoke are definitely going to be on site. Your Bandit is almost certainly going to be on site. Note here that the enemies are going to be coming from the left side of that doorway. So if you put the Capcan on the right, it's a little bit easier for them to see the EDD. Putting it on the left makes it a little bit more likely for them to walk into it. You're going to see the same thing here. If people are walking down this hallway, if you put it on your left side of the door now, it would be a little bit more difficult for them to spot it and a little more dangerous for them to try and shoot it, because it requires exposing themselves to the rest of your team, peeking the site.
This right here, though, is really good. This reinforcement is something we both noticed. Reinforcing this closet is very good, because we talked about it on the attack. Opening up a rotation is pretty good as well. And you'll see your Maestro comes and plays in this closet. So getting both of those reinforcements down is very good. That's something I would aim for you. I would say for you to aim to do every time you play this site. Make sure this closet. It's much too easy to hand over control of this room if they can hold this corner out here.
Yeah, so this is the unfortunate part, basically. I think you're expecting to play that backside in line before the Maestro came and displaced you. I think you just, if you look at that team comp, you probably suspect that you have to roam and just try and get out a little bit earlier so that you're not being forced to walk into the Ash there. Alternatively, you could just stay put and provide a crossfire for Maestro on site. It's a very passive way of playing, but it can work.
Having known that the Ash rushed last time, and then if you saw the Ying in the final kill was running around with a shotgun, you could kind of predict that they were probably going to rush again. If they're going to rush the first round, you should be prepared for it in the second round. So playing ahead would be useful if you think you're going to be able to get a pick and then back up. But big garage is not the best place to try and do that. So playing back and setting up that crossfire with Maestro or protecting his body in case of a Maverick or anything like that is pretty useful if you're expecting the.
Yeah, and the Capcan traps are definitely great for that. It worked out last round actually. That someone ran into one.
Mm-hmm.
I think you guys you made a really good point. They've done it before. They're probably going to do it again, and kind of be ready for that Ash zooming in at Mach 5.
And again, we saw the final kill cam Ying with a shotgun. Your third defense, you gotta expect it. They're just gonna run in and try to out aim you. So definitely be.
Yeah. So here we're gonna have a relatively complicated round on attack, and we're gonna try and get to everything in an efficient manner. If you guys have any questions, just let us know in the comments. We'd be glad to go into greater detail depending on what people are most interested about. So we're going to be expecting a kitchen trophy defense now, as they've won the basement.
I don't like the
And what we're
team
going to
comp
see is
for it.
basically,
There's
that's true.
4 smokes between all of them. I think that's the biggest point you have to make that needs to be made before we get to. Go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. So the main objective here, like your win condition for this site, is clearing them out of trophy room so that you can smoke it and you can plant it. Once they're out of trophy, it's very, very reliable for you to get in, get the plant, and then cover it from outside of that east window. So one of the things we're going to talk about is, if you reach too many points, that can create an opportunity for the enemy team to retake, and just kind of where you're positioning yourself relative to your potential planter. We're going to see Hibana, I think, spawns campfire again.
Yes.
Yeah, so we've got a campfire spawn. Um, recognize that nobody on your team is going for the kind of top-down take, and you don't have a sledge or a buck
I didn't.
to facilitate that. So I think it's smart that you didn't just beeline for master. A lot of people will do that as Hibana, trying to get the hatches and then wind up second floor.
Mm-hmm.
Opening these windows, I think, is a good idea. Creating some additional pressure, getting control of West Main, one of the main rotations that they have back to the trophy site. There's a little bit of luck kind of in when you're on a drone and when somebody's moving. I just want to point out that right now, what you're most interested in is whether there's someone in trophy and how you can kill him or flush him out.
One just run across to the right.
So if you can get your drone into that position, that would be the ideal case, right? So what's going to happen eventually, Ash has taken out the Jaeger, who is the player inside of trophy, and now you guys theoretically have an opportunity to plant. Unfortunately, because we're breaching here in West Main, we're creating another angle that Ash has to worry about inside of that trophy room, and making a relatively risky run across West Main and into this breach. Yeah, so here we've got the map overhead.
So exactly what he's talking about here is we just breached you just breached rather right here, and we had seen an Ella come up these main stairs. So if she's sitting there, she can shoot the X-Kairos off. If she doesn't want to shoot them off, she can just shoot you guys as you run in. And the whole retake situation, again, you just gave them an easy line of sight into a half to a third of the trophy room, and that's pretty much the exact opposite of what you're really looking for. And there can even be a crossfire in this small gap here or anything like that. So leaving this closed is probably your best option. And this east window that he was talking about is right here. That's the most common point. If you have a Capital and a Glass, you can really just smoke off this half the map, even into the kitchen hall, and they're not really going to be able to retake at all, at least until the smoke clears, especially with the Glass in play. You'll have to worry about maybe a run out from bedroom balcony or from terrace, but that's kind of what you're there for, is to give them cover from the outside, throw a couple stuns in, go from there.
Right, and that's why a top-down take is a little bit more common. It establishes control of some of those runouts. But I think for this level of play, definitely just getting that east window control is really, really big.
Get back to the game plan. Rest of this round. You're smart here. You're ready for somebody to just be there, get the kill. Ash there.
What is he doing, dog?
Fix the Jaeger.
You can plant. I got your cover.
So taking this gunfight here probably isn't the best option. Unless you are planning on shooting and then jumping out that window, the trophy window, you kind of just cornered yourself. And you'll see here in a second, once you get smoked, not a whole lot of options. Really fight this or run away or whatever. And, I mean, you get out with 9 health, but still not the ideal situation. Get a pick. Very good.
He's on it.
Smoke rushes you. So I don't know. To make the best of the situation, you probably should have never gone into trophy or breached that. But once you're in there, I'd say get out as soon as possible. Cover it from the outside. What do you think?
Yeah, you know, I think there's a risk either way, trying to jump out or fight him, but overall, I'd rather be outside and consume more time if I can.
That is a good point. Consuming time's huge.
Yeah, you know, it makes them work that much harder to get out and deal with you somehow before they can go for it.
So this right here, I don't want to nag on this too hard because it seems like the rest of you really did pick this site, but if you have the opportunity to go garage or kitchen on Chalet, do it. The other 2 sites are just so much worse. They're some of the worst sites in the game. It's not worth trying to defend them. Unless you just think you have the strat.
Yeah, and so what we're going to see here is a bit of a passive strategy again. And I think with this site specifically, just because you've got so little space to work with, you basically have to be really aggressive on those runouts, getting picks early, and kind of threatening people with gunfights, because there's not a whole lot of finesse you can bring to the table afterward. So we're going to note real quick, one of the most important rotations is from the bathroom to the main hall. It was just off the right side of the screen there. We'll get a good look at it later when we lie down.
I'll bring up the map real quick just so we have the best idea of what you're talking about. This wall right here is the one, and rotation here as well.
Yeah, so the more mobility you have, the better, obviously, for a site like this. Getting that rotation allows you to play in the bathroom, kind of threaten the ladders on the library side, and just get that little bit more movement back to the A side if you have to. Position.
Perfect. Go back in.
Thank you.
Good job on that rotation. That's good.
That's not a bad idea, is it? I hope that's not a bad idea.
And again, like, looking at the places where your team's playing, you do make the right decision. You probably do need to be on this side of the map to contest. But without the rotation in bathroom, if somebody gets the lean on you, you're kind of just trapped. And it's pretty easy to get pinched. Pre-breaking that bathroom window is useful if you expect you might have to jump out and shoot at that library ladder as well. That's a small micro thing that's hard to remember.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm definitely a big fan of just keeping somebody off of that ladder, even if it means kind of hard holding that angle.
Okay.
I think it also wouldn't be the worst idea right now to be on cams, getting information as fast as you could for your team. Unfortunately, they just get steamrolled here, and the Ying is going to be kind of destroying you guys. It's very difficult, kind of as a passive team. If you're sitting back, the one advantage you can really get as the defenders is Peeker's advantage, and if you give that up, that Ying, that Ash, they're just going to flash you, sprint at you, and make you dead one way or another.
And you do point out a good thing here, that immediately after you die, you point out, like, okay, I shouldn't have walked across that. And that is a small micro gunfight thing of, like, if they're shooting at you and there's an opening, don't cross the opening, just get back to cover as soon as possible if you're not winning, or if you don't have the advantage. Because as soon as you're out of cover, you will gain Peeker's advantage again once you jump back out. We'll watch the rest of the round here. Try to give vision for your Pulse, who's at 5 HP. The end of the match. You have any big overall thoughts for the Game Fender?
Yeah, I mean, I think first of all, any of the mistakes obviously forgivable. It's the point is to learn. We're not trying to rag on anybody for them, but I think the big takeaways are definitely on attack, being prepared and knowing what the most efficient routes are to the objective that take out something important without exposing yourself too much to flanks. And then defensively, just having a plan as Capcan, getting all those gadgets down and getting to the position that you want to play, which will most likely be a roam or maybe a close roam where you're falling off quickly. But Capcan is usually not an operator you play on site. You're getting out. You're using those impacts to rotate around on people, uh, delay, take advantage of when one of your trap explodes. You know someone's there, you can go and collapse on them. He's definitely a very active operator, and getting that done in the prep phase as early as possible is ideal because it exposes you to the lowest possible risk.
I completely agree with that. And I will note that playing someone like Capcan or a Maestro or an Echo that has kind of a specific setup in mind whenever you play them, communicating that to your team is very useful. Because if I'm playing with you in solo queue and I have no idea like that you're even going to pick Capcan or where you're going to end up, you're holding master and you wanted to end up over in library. I mean, you want to reinforce or you trap here, trap here, trap here, trap here, and then end up over here. I have no idea, so I may just go over here and hold this area, and now we're both in the same area. So just letting us know what your plan is very useful.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And then on the good side, because we want to encourage good things that people are doing, I think the drones were pretty solid.
Oh yeah, yeah.
There were a couple moments like there's a drone hole you can use to see when people are in dining and kitchen that you don't have to go through the great room door.
Right here.
That can keep your drone alive sometimes, but it's like a very minor thing. For the most part, you're on the drone all the time, making sure that you didn't enter somewhere totally blind. And the positioning relative to the teammates was good when you had the opportunity to do it well, right? Like when we were spawning in the right place with the rest of the team and kind of going with their take, then the positioning was actually really good, I think.
Yeah.
Could have gotten frags easily.
Yeah, I think the only time the positioning was bad was that very first round, and I think we explained that pretty well. But I mean, I can understand the thought process of trying to do what you're trying to do. It's just maybe you just didn't realize it's not quite the play you want to make, and that's what we're here for.
Yeah, and the funny thing about Siege is sometimes it's small degrees of greater efficiency can really make a huge difference in who wins the game.
That is quite true.
Mix up, so.
Well, I'm glad that you gave us this video to be able to do. I greatly appreciate that, because if we don't have videos, we can't make these, and it's just an excuse for Fender and I to yell at each other for an hour or two a day, and it's fun. So, if anybody else has any videos, send us a message on here, comment, or send us a message on Discord, and I will have, or not Discord, Reddit, and I'll have our usernames in the description. We like doing this, and maybe you don't even want us to make a video, you just want us to look at it, because for whatever reason, still send us a message. We enjoy this stuff. This is our hobby, is playing and the actual coaching, or whatever you want to call it. I appreciate you all watching the video.